Good evening and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. And today we have a superstar of YouTube and sim racing. It is, of course, Dave Cam. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Hey, Hugh. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, as soon as I saw your channel, and I thought, my goodness, you're one of these professionals at sim racing and all your rigs and all the details that you have on your videos. I thought, we've got to get you on the show and see what you're all about. So I'll ask you the famous first question. How did your love for sim racing, how did it all begin?
Oh, blimey. Well, I've always been into car games, I guess. Even back when I was a kid with the ZX Spectrum, I think playing pole position or something like that many, many years ago. And then as I grew up, I can't remember what we got that. I remember going to the arcades and playing the big arcade races, you know, the ones with the steering wheels. And then there was one particular one called Hard Driving, and I remember it had a H-pattern shifter and a clutch, and it kind of made you feel that you were in the car. And then that was kind of it, really. I had consoles, a PS1, and then I found Grand Prix Legends like many, many years ago. And I used to take my whole PC down to my friend's house in his dining room, network them together with the steering wheels, and then play that. And then, for whatever reason, I stopped playing the PC and we had kids instead. So we had children. So 15 years went by, and then I thought, right, I'm going to build a PC. So I built a PC, found Steam. Steam wasn't even a thing when I last had a computer. So I found Steam and saw iRacing on there, and I thought, that looks like a cheap game, $8.99, not realizing that was $8.99 a month. and I didn't have a steering wheel, didn't have anything, so I bought it. First race with a gamepad, and then I was hooked. The next day I went out and bought a steering wheel, and then the week after that I went out and bought 2 more monitors, and then it just went downhill rapidly from there, really. So that was it. So, and that was in 2017, so I didn't even know sim racing was a thing. I remember Grand Prix Legends and what that was, but I didn't realize sim racing had evolved and become such a huge deal. You know, it was incredible when I came back and thought, God, these are real people that I'm racing against. These are people from all over the world. You know, it's it's incredible. Yeah. I couldn't believe how much it had moved on in the time that I'd been away. That's how it started, really. So I've always had that love of computer games, especially like driving games and things like that.
Yeah, because did you play like any of the F1 games and things like that when you were out too?
I did. I think it was on the PlayStation 1, I think. So whenever that was, I can't remember what year that was, but I remember playing some F1 game. I can't remember which one it was now. I can't even remember the drivers from back in the day.
There's so many, pretty much every couple of years there was another one.
Yeah, I can't remember the drivers, Olivier Panis. So he was one of the drivers. I used to try and go as Olivier Panis because he was kind of mid-pack. You know, it wasn't the strongest car, but it wasn't the weakest. So Olivier Panis, whenever he was racing.
Yeah, that would be at the time when Murray Walker and Martin Brundle used to do the commentary for some of the F1 games. Yeah. And if you had a crash in one of those games and you had it was a big crash, and then you'd have Murray Walker in your ear saying, "Oh, he hit the wall with a terrible thump," you know, and it was like,
I know Murray. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. No, that was the thing. So what is it that, because I mean, people find that I was speaking to the Key a few weeks ago, Key 25, and he was saying he started out on iRacing and absolutely loved it. What is it about iRacing that makes you kind of so keen on it?
I'm a bit of a stats nerd. I like stats. I like to know, even Google Maps on my phone. I love looking back at the timeline where I've been this year, how many cities I've been to, and I just love stats. I love looking back at statistics. So I think it's probably one of the big reasons, because I can look back at every single race that I've done on iRacing, and so I've done over 2,000 road races now on iRacing. I can look back at each one of those, see who I was racing against, see what their iRacing was at that particular time, have a look at them now, see if they've grown, see if they've got worse, and just to kind of see who you raced against. So I think that's probably what I did stumble across that first before I went on anything else. So iRacing kind of got my attention first. So maybe I invested a little bit more time in that in the beginning. Yeah. And then, of course, it's, you know, the more money you invest in something, the more you tend not to try anything else. You know, if you bought an expensive golf bat, then you're probably going to use that rather than the cheap one. So that's maybe why that I invested a bit more time into that than anything else. But I do love all of the others. People think that I'm just an iRacing guy and that's it. But I do love Assetto Corsa. I'm on ACC a bit. R-Factor 2 I like trying them all. Race Room. It's not a bad thing to kind of try them all, really. And you get people sticking to one simulator. That's it. They won't try anything else. But play what you enjoy is what I say. Play what you enjoy. Yeah,
because I came from the console side. So I've done a lot of GT Sport over the years, the different versions of Gran Turismo. And then I came across them only this year, about 3-4 months ago. I was encouraged to try and do PC gaming. So I got myself a PC from Costco. And that was it. And so and it all worked from there. And I got Jeff, his fiancé, to help me set it all up with the OBS. And so there we are. And then I started streaming ACC and then doing some of those games as well for their kind of tours and things that they have. I have to say, it's fantastic. It's so good. I mean, I just have a very basic setup. This is G29 and the PlayStation Challenge, but it's 4 years old and it's quite robust. And if
it works, it works. Well. If it works, it works. It doesn't matter what gear you've got. It's nice to have nice equipment, but you don't have to have nice equipment to have a good time to enjoy racing. I had a G29, loved it, absolutely loved my G29. So you don't, it's nice having all this nice stuff, but you don't need it. You don't need it.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say it shouldn't put anybody off getting into sim racing. Because you haven't got the budget or what you think might be the budget to enjoy it, because you can get into it relatively cheaply, I think.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, isn't it? I've been told that load cell pedals make a big difference, and that would improve the performance a bit. Because I've just got the standard G29 pedals and things like that. But you've got it looks like an absolutely lovely setup there. Can you tell us what kind of things you have for your setup?
I'm very lucky. Excuse me, very lucky to be sat in the rig that I'm sat in now. But it's evolved over the 5 years, and I've had probably 3 or 4 different rigs. God knows how many screens ranging from 24-inch triples, 27-inch triples, which I've got now, 32-inch triples, 40-inch triples, ultra wides. Wow. I've tried everything to find the sweet spot that I'm happy with now. So now I'm sat in a Huizenveld rig. I've just recently became a partner with Huizenveld, so they kindly sent me out one of their Simrig GTs to use. Wow. So I'm sat in the rig now. I've got the Huizenveld Ultimate Plus pedals, which they sent me as well. Fanatec DD1 with the McLaren wheel on there now, and I've got a selection of rims behind me there that Fanatec sent me. Again, I know I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in because with partnerships with Fanatec and Huizenveld. So it's a nice rig, triple 27-inch monitors. That's the left one there you can see. Triple 27-inch monitors. It's a nice little place to be. So I've just built this, and I bought this new seat, and it's not, you can't recline it. I wanted something that was rigid. So I had a nice seat on before. It was a Sparco one that I had on, and that's on Julie's rig now, my partner Julie's rig. But that was a recliner, but there was a little bit of movement, and I wanted to try and get rid of any movement and play and stuff like that. So I bought a rigid seat to put on it, which is nice, but takes a little bit getting used to, especially when you're knocking on a bit, getting in and out this thing.
That's the thing. Well, I remember when I got mine, because I got it it was in a lunch break. I was doing a shift, and I managed to come home from my lunch, and this had finally arrived. So I ripped it open as fast as I could, and I built it in 20 minutes flat. Really? So that was it. And the thing is, I probably haven't yet
like a
to
kid
this
at
day.
Christmas.
It was like, I don't even know if it's built properly. I'm not doing it DIY. So if it collapses at some point,
looks like a seat. Yeah,
but it's never collapsed on me yet. It's all worked. And that's been the thing. So no, it's great fun. Because did you go to the big sim racing exhibition earlier on this year? Yeah, because I thought I saw a video that you'd done that. Now, I mean, what was that like? It looked incredible.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I wanted to go last year, obviously, but it was cancelled. I had tickets for last year, so I booked flights earlier on this year to go to. We're going to fly to Dusseldorf, and I hired a car from Dusseldorf, and I thought, well, I'm going away. I'll hire a nice car, so I hired like a BMW Z4 convertible, like quite expensive. And then the week before was due to go. My flights got cancelled to Dusseldorf. Couldn't get another flight to Dusseldorf, couldn't get another flight to Dusseldorf. My flight home was all right, just getting there. So I lost the hire car. Couldn't get the refund on the hire car. So I said to Julie, my partner, I says, look, I really want to go, and the only way we're going to get there is if we drive. So she says, all right then. So I got the car in for an emergency service, got the oil changed, and says, right, come on. So north of England, obviously. We're right up in the north of England, all the way down to Folkestone, then all the way France, through Belgium into Germany. So it was a bit of a trek, 650 miles from here to the hotel in the Nürburgring. So it's a bit of a drive, 12 hours driving.
Yeah.
But worth it, worth it. The expo was incredible. I've always been into motorcycles. That's been my passion, probably for the time that I wasn't gaming on a PC or doing any gaming. I grew up for a short time, and then it was only temporary, but I grew up for a little while, and I had motorcycles. And whenever there was a motorcycle meet, there was always that camaraderie. There was always that kind of a brotherhood, or everybody was there with the same interest, motorcycles, and it felt the same. Going to the expo, it was like I'm here with all these other guys that are sim racers. They understand what I go through. They understand what I feel when I'm racing. I understand them, and it was like it was weird. It was like everybody was friends, because you had that common interest. It was unbelievable, really good. And obviously, great to meet people that you've never met before. People saying, "Dave, Dave Carman, you raced against me," and I was like, "Oh, crikey, yeah, I remember that race. I remember your name." Or just unbelievable. Just the world, just really small, really. When you get events like that, when everybody can kind of convene and meet up, it's incredible.
Because there was lots of people there that I'd seen do videos. I was speaking to Gamer Muscle videos, a guy from James, and he'd done a video. I was trying to get him on the show, but his schedule, he tried to press him to get him down to that time is almost impossible. But he was there, and quite a few others. I think Super GT went there as well.
I saw Steve. Steve's the first time I got to meet Steve actually at the expo. I'd never met Steve before, or Jimmy. I'd met Ricardo before, Random Call Sign, and James was. I met James, but Lawrence de Souza. I met Lawrence for the first time, and it was great. And you're meeting some of the guys from Fanatec that I've never ever met before, and the guys from Huizenveld. Just really nice to speak to people that you've never ever met before. It was incredible.
It seemed like there was a really great atmosphere. It's like the ultimate kind of toys experience, isn't it? When you're kind of adult, but you can see every stand. You just think, "Oh, I'm going to wait in the queue for that."
Yes,
or that one.
exactly.
Worth having a go.
You want to have a look, but it's like there's a queue, and it's like, "Oh God, I'll come back later." Then you go back later. Oh, there's still a queue. It's like, "Oh no, I'll try tomorrow." Yeah, but it's really good, really good.
It looks amazing. I hope to be able to get there for the next one. If they do it next year, I think that would be something, because it is one of these big events. I think you really have to be at
it's
to
brilliant.
Kind of see what's come out.
It's brilliant.
But
I got to drive the Nürburgring as well. So took my own car on the Nürburgring as well. So that on the Sunday, I thought, right, I'm going to find the Nürburgring. I just want to see the track. I just want to see. So we drove to a car park, saw it, and then waited there half an hour, took some photographs, and then we drove to the village of Nürburg, and then lo and behold, there was the ticket office. Before I knew it, I'd bought a ticket, and I was driving around the Nordschleife in my own car. Julie had given us a warning beforehand saying, if you do anything stupid, Dave, as soon as you get home, you can pack a bag. If we don't get home, if you do something to this car, that's it. So I'd had my warning, so I knew I had to behave. So I did. I took it nice and gentle, nice steady lap, but it was just a bit of a dream come true to race, or not to race, but to drive around the track that you've seen so many times in a simulator. But it was like entering a multi-class race in your own car, because there was obviously Porsche GT3s, then there was a little souped up Renault Clio flying past, and it was like, God, I'm in a multi-class race, but I'm in my car. It was weird. It was bizarre.
I've got a Dacia Sandero and a Dacia Logan, so that would be a laugh,
get them on. Get them on. Get them on.
No, it looks amazing, and I have to say, how did you find that when you actually went on the track? Because obviously you've done all this iRacing and all this experience of sim racing. Did it actually kind of get you in a better mindset, or was there a big difference between the reality and what you were expecting as you drove around?
I knew the track as soon as I got on it. I knew exactly where I was going. It was really, really familiar. But what wasn't familiar is the elevation changes and the height of the curbs. The curbs are literally a foot tall. They are absolutely ginormous. And even when you go down the Dottinger, the straight on the sim, it's like a little gradient that goes down. But in real life, it drops right down. It's like a real big hill. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the ups and downs, incredible. You don't get that in the simulator.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. And obviously, if you touch one of those curves in real life in the wrong way, it's you're going to be really struggling.
Curtains, definitely.
With that
definitely.
That sounds fantastic. Now we've got lots of people watching in the chat, and they've already got some of their questions ready. So if you're happy to start some of the questions, Dave, I'll get them all sorted out. There was one very early on, one of the first guys. In fact, he left it about 4:00 this afternoon from Rich Nicholson, and he has said, "How about addressing the carnage caused in multi-class races by inconsiderate or inept LMP drivers?" He says, "I would like to see a minimum iRacing safety rating or perhaps greater penalties to the faster class."
Rich,
a big question.
It's a good point actually, because there has been an argument for some time that to get to drive the faster cars or the more difficult cars to drive in iRacing, you should need a higher license. But it's all about money, isn't it? And iRacing, and they're going to sell the cars to whoever going to drive them. And it's, if you don't have that license, you're not going to buy the car. So it's never going to happen whilst that pricing structures in place, I don't think. But there does need to be some kind of penalty for the driving standards in multi-class. It's definitely declined in the last 12 months or so that I've noticed. And I hardly do any multi-class racing now in iRacing for that reason. And it is usually the faster classes, unfortunately, that cause the issues. Yeah, there's some of the slower classes aren't that predictable, and they do need to kind of have a look at themselves now and again. But it's the adrenaline flowing through the guy's veins. It's in the faster class that's in a battle that doesn't want to lose time on the guy in front by getting held up. And I know what it's like. I understand it, and I know what they're going through. But there just needs to be some kind of retrospective, not punishment, but I don't know, education or something. There needs to be something, definitely.
Yeah. No, that's a good question, and I think it's a big one. I think it affects every game, whether it be like GT Sport. There's been a lot of problems there, although it kind of comes and goes a little bit as to how what the driving is like, and also trying to racing etiquette can help quite considerably as well. I
think even something like if somebody's reported for doing something, like if they're driving a multi-class race and they're in an LMP2 and they do something like send on a slower class and take them out, exclude them from the next week's round. Don't let them race the LMP2 the week after. So they miss a week. So it might just make them think, right, I don't really want to miss a week because I really enjoy driving the LMP2, or I'm trying to get as high as I can in the championship for the season. So I don't want to miss a week. So exclude them from driving the LMP2 car for a week. Drive anything else you want, but not the LMP2. I don't know. I don't know what the workaround is for that.
Yeah, now that sounds like a very good and settled response to obviously the issues that come along. Now we've got lots of great quotes here. Willie Pie has said, "Hi Dave, love your channel and your attitude is spot on." So there you go.
That's very kind. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And also, I was speaking to Matt Fox. He was on the Discord earlier, and he said, "When is there going to be a puppies meet?"
Puppies meet, yeah. We've got 2 Labrador puppies. They're older now, 20 weeks, but they're huge. They're like little bulls. They're ridiculous now, and every time you take them out, they just want to pull your arms out the sockets. So I don't really want them to meet any other dogs because it's a nightmare. But yeah, we'll sort something out.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. And Willie Pie has also asked, the wee bezel things you bought are brilliant for triples. How do you like them?
I like them. They're ugly. When you're not sim racing, they're awful. They get in the way. They're distracting. So, it blocks the edges of your screen. So if you're doing anything kind of productive, they're a nightmare. But sim racing, they're brilliant. They just take your eyes off the bezels. And especially when I do the videos with the GoPro on, it just makes it a little bit more immersive and looks a little bit more realistic. So that's the reason that I got them, really. Because to be honest, when I'm sim racing, the bezels don't bother me too much.
Yeah.
You don't notice them. One of them's on the A pillar on the left-hand side usually, and you don't notice the one on the right. So it's just really, for the viewers, really, just so it looked a little bit better.
It looks amazing. I mean, from someone, I've just got a 24-inch screen in front of me, which is quite small. But what is the biggest difference? Obviously, having these 3 monitors and the whole thing. What's the first thing that you kind of notice when you race with something like that?
It's just your sense of where you are, really. You know, and because I raced on the other rig last week, and it was fine on a single screen. But you do lose that sense of, or it's a little bit unnerving when you don't know if somebody's there or not. But with a triple screen, a little glance, and you can see them out of any of the window. You know, even out your peripheral vision, you can see them. It's just that knowing where you are on the circuit and how far you are away from the edge of the track. I just seem to be able to feel it a bit more with triples, and that's it really.
Yeah, oh, it does. I have to say, it looks fantastic. I'm very envious.
You have to come down one day. Come down one day and try it out.
Yeah, certainly. This looks incredible. I'm hoping to get eventually a new sim rig. I looked at things like the Track Racer because it's quite a nice setup and it's quite good value as well as the next step kind of up or something like that. But there's so many to choose from.
Oh,
that's the thing. It's trying to find.
Yeah. Everybody's building them now. Everybody's building them.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Which isn't a bad thing, I suppose, because competition's a good thing, isn't it? For us, the consumers, we win at the end of the day, I suppose.
Yeah, I thought for a joke I should try and get one off Wish. See what's on there.
See what it's like. Yeah.
For about £79. Yeah. A bit of metal and a seat.
Yeah.
And I thought, we'll see what
that'd be the best idea.
No, I'm probably going to kill you back or whatever after that one. Yeah. But we've got a good question here from Jerry NCF1, and he says, "What is your favourite British racing circuit from a car and bike point of view?"
Oh, blimey! Bike, definitely Cadwell Park. I've ridden around there on my old TL1000. Did a couple of track days at Cadwell Park. So definitely Cadwell Park for bikes. Cars, oh, blimey! A lot of people don't like Snetterton, but I really like Snetterton. In the GT cars. Oulton Park, though. Yeah, Oulton Park. Got to be Oulton Park.
That's it.
Yeah, in any car. It's just the slower cars, the racing's close. In the faster cars, it's close but dangerous. It's Oulton Park for cars, Cadwell Park for bikes.
Because Cadwell Park's really narrow, isn't it?
It is.
And it goes up hills and all of them.
Yeah, really. Yeah, there's the mountain, and it's quite a fast circuit as well around the back. It's really, really quick as well. So it's got a bit of everything, but really narrow. It's probably only 2.5, 3 car widths, like normal road cars. Probably only 3 car widths wide.
Yeah,
which Donington, I did Donington. I did the Ron Haslam Race School many years ago at Donington, and I couldn't believe how wide Donington was. I never ever realised how wide. That was the first circuit I'd ever been to. I thought, oh my God, look at the width. It's like huge. And then I did Cadwell. It's like, oh my God, this is tiny. This is in comparison.
Because I'm sure Top Gear used to do some of their tests at Cadwell Park. I remember seeing Chip Cadell.
I think it was 50, I think. Yeah. Yes.
In the early days. And that was it. And then I think I tried it on Project Cars. I wonder if they had it on Project Cars or one of the other circuits, some of them. But I remember, and I thought, God, how many corners and dips. It looked really lethal. But I went to the Jim Russell School of Racing at Donington Park. That was way back in the 90s. Right. I got a driving day there. So, and I remember the guy said I wasn't using enough curb. And I did this Astra GTE. Right. So you've got to really use the whole road.
The whole lot.
As you come out of the corners and up into the curbs and everything else.
Because the curbs are really wide as well. So I guess if you're not using the curb, you're probably, 3/4 of half a meter and 3/4 of a meter wide. There's a lot to be gained.
It was fantastic fun.
Yeah.
So what did you find? I mean, did you think that coming into sim racing, was it just to get faster? Did you want to show that I'm going to be quite competitive at this, or did you think this is maybe a chance to enter, maybe to do some motorsport in the future, and I'll use sim racing as practice?
No, and I've never driven a car on track in my life ever. And never ever had the desire to ever. I've done track days on my motorcycles, and I did a little bit of motocross and a little bit of supermoto, but never competitively or anything like that. It was just for fun. But never, and I've never been a car guy. I've always liked cars. If I saw a nice car, like I love my old Ford Escorts, my Mark 1s, Mark 2 Escorts. That kind of era, 70s car, like. Fiat Super Mirafioris, Alfa Suds, the old classic, 70s, 80s cars. Proper cars. It used to fall to bits and rust.
Exactly. They break down.
Yes. Yeah. Just with a carburetor and a couple of wires go on the battery and the starter motor. That's it. So I never ever wanted to drive or race a car or anything like that. I don't think I'd compete with those guys. They're another level. So sim racing wise, it's just that competitive. I used to do a bit of supermoto motocross, and I came off my motocross bike in 2016. Badly damaged my shoulder, broke my shoulder blade, and messed my shoulder up pretty bad. So that was it then. Bikes, that was it gone. So that was when sim racing kind of came into play. And I get the same adrenaline from sim racing as I did with that. So it's kind of it's filled a gap, and I think that's what I needed in life. Kind of over the last 15 years, when I've had bikes, I've always had that adrenaline. So I've never been a car guy because I've always had high-powered sports bikes, Ducatis and R1s and ZX10s. So I've always had that excitement with the bikes. But when that went, I found sim racing, thankfully, because I would have had to start golf or something, and that's not really the same, is it?
Well, you can jump the golf cart, I suppose.
I suppose, yeah.
That's what the F1 drivers used to do, doesn't they? They used to go to Portugal and used to get into trouble because they would race on the golf carts. And that would be a whole lot. But of course, if you're driving bikes, I mean, those things sound incredible. And do such amazing speed, it's quite a...
Well, my old ZX10 used to do 106 in first gear. Like first gear, 106 miles an hour ZX10, it was frightening. So quick. Yeah.
But the noise, they are amazing. Yeah. The closest thing to like F1 cars on the, with the rev range, isn't it? And all these incredible, the noise that comes from them. But it is a thing. I need to go. I was invited to go to Knockhill actually to see the bikes, and I'll need to go and do that because they do say it's a great day out.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go there. Yeah.
That'd be the thing. Now, on a more iRacing note, we've got Keith's update. Keith Molyneux has asked a question. What is your favourite iRacing car to drive?
Oh, blimey. That's a tough one. It used to be the Porsche Cup car, the old Porsche. And it was my favourite because it was probably the most difficult and the most rewarding when you didn't crash. That's it, really. If you didn't crash, that was a good race. But I love the Mercedes GC3. I like the Skip Barber. I think the Formula V is an absolutely brilliant car.
Yeah, I love that.
If you're racing with people of a similar mindset, the slower the car, the better the racing. That's a fact. So if you're racing with somebody who wants to race clean, the Formula V somewhere like Oulton Park, the short layout at Oulton Park, you can have probably 2 or 3, 4 overtakes per lap. If you race somebody clean, back and forward. So it's the Formula V. The slower cars really give the best racing. So the Mazda MX-5's classic as well.
Good. Yeah. Because I just passed recently I was obviously a rookie, and then you get, is it a D rookie or something, or you get to 3. Yeah. So I just managed to get that. Yeah. And I've had a wee bit higher and then a bit of a dip here and there. I've had a few bumps, and I had a hilarious race a few nights ago in the Formula V. I think it was at Charlotte Speedway, and somebody took me off. But I was going across the last lap. I was literally coming across the checkered flag, and my wheels were horizontal. And I was desperate just to keep going across the line.
I'm going to make it. I don't care how, but I'm getting across the line, yeah.
But my engineer said, your car is finished, and that was it. So you can't go any further. So that was the thing. But so tell me, there'll be lots of people out watching tonight looking for tips on how to race well and how to get far more out of iRacing. So what would be probably your first few tips for getting a better race experience out of iRacing?
Well, I touched on it briefly earlier on when I was talking to you before the show, but I think try not to race everybody all of the time. And I've been guilty of this previously. I used to race everybody for every position at every corner, tried to go for the overtake every opportunity. And it was fun back then, or I thought it was fun, but my iRating and safety rating didn't agree. So I would say just wind things back a little bit. Think about the longer, the bigger picture. Think about what's going to happen in the race. Think about what you want to try and avoid. Think about what you want to try and get out of the race. And if that's a good finish, then you need to either be really quick and qualify out front, or you need to be smart and start mid-pack or start towards the back and think about the bigger picture. Identify those drivers that you think might cause you issues early doors. And if you see somebody on lap 1 going 3 wide, right, he's one to watch or she's one to watch. Let them go and do what they want to do to somebody else, but not me.
Yeah. That's the thing, because I had that in the Mazda race, and I should have seen that, because it was going 3 wide in front, and then I tried to avoid them, and then they all spun and hit, and I got past a few, and then somebody else hit me. So it was probably from that group that it all happens.
It's just all about being patient, I think. Be patient. So be patient and be polite. Be the guy that moves aside for somebody if they're quicker than you. Be the guy that apologizes if you do something wrong. Be the guy that thanks somebody if somebody lets you by. Be remembered for being the nice guy, because they're the guys I remember. They're the guys I want to race against. Don't be the guy that you remember for being an absolute idiot that sent it across the track or didn't say thank you when you let him through, or if you went out your way to let somebody through and he didn't even acknowledge the fact. It's just common courtesy, and I think that's how I live my life, really. It's be polite, be courteous, thank people, just be remembered for being the nice guy. And I think if everybody tries to be nice, then the racing's going to be better, no doubt.
How do you actually chat during the race? Because I don't think my setup is right. I'm missing a lot of stuff on the screen that I know that some other people have, like the lap times and where they are on the grid, and where they are in the race and such. Yeah. But how do you do chat during a race then? Or how can you
the voice chat?
Yeah, or because sometimes you see messages at the top. Yeah, saying sorry or whatever it might be.
All right,
I'm just trying to race and trying to keep going, and I don't know how.
So they're just like set up as kind of shortcuts on your keyboard, like the number keys 1, 2, 3, 4, and they will all say something, and you can type what you want in there and assign it to a button. So you could assign it to a button on your wheel. So if you go into your options, and I think it's the first page, or the second page, and you just click on the sorry, and click to assign button, and you can click one on your wheel. So every time you press that on your wheel, it will say the text at the top.
Right. Oh, I see. So it'll say that.
So if you go into the options, you can go to the voice chat, so you can assign a button to the voice chat. So if something happens, you can press that and then just talk, and everybody in the race can hear you. So that's a really good feature that iRacing has that nobody else does, really.
Yeah. I do like the thing in iRacing that some of the tracks, they are quite basic. Like they've got no runoff, or it's just grass. My first race in a Formula V, and I could barely keep the car round the corner because it was so difficult to know when you had grip, and then when that grip was going to stop, and then you end up spinning over the corner until you kind of gradually got used to it. But one time I thought I was doing quite well, and I went around a long left-hander, and there were trees on the right-hand side. And then this other person I overtook going round the corner thinking I had enough space, and I did. And then he kind of cut across me, and I went over his wheels. By the time I'd come to a halt, I was actually in the forest on the other side. Yeah. So
the open wheel is when the wheels catch you. It just sends you, doesn't it?
Over you go. And I laughed my head off with that one. I thought, well, that's one way to get disqualified.
Definitely.
But no, it is. I love the fun that you can have with it all, and especially in the slower series. It's just great. It's really good.
Definitely.
Have you ever tried VR with iRacing?
I've had a few VR headsets, and it's incredible. It really is. It just adds something else. If I didn't do this whole YouTube content creation thing, then I would there's a good chance that I'd race in VR all the time. I probably wouldn't have the triples, because there's nothing beats it for immersion. There isn't. And when I mentioned earlier on about the Nordschleife with the elevation changes, you get that more in VR than you do it with a triple setup or a single screen. Just with it all being 3D, it's like all the sparks off and the dust from the cars in front, they're coming at you. It's ridiculous. And there's times when I've been in the sim in VR, and I've looked down, and obviously in iRacing, the arms are attached to the wheels. So in VR, you forget that they're not your arms. And I've been sat down looking inside the car, and the arm in the simulator has been blocking the center console, and I've lifted my own arm thinking that arm would move, but it doesn't move, and you think, what's going on here? And then you think, shit, it's not my arm.
That's amazing.
So it does. You get lost in it completely.
Yeah. Would you recommend, as someone who's just started out on iRacing, that VR could be the way to go? Because obviously
Definitely.
you can stream in VR, isn't it?
It's a lot cheaper than, well, you can buy a second-hand Oculus Rift S now for less than £200, and you'd pay more than that for a reasonable 32-inch monitor.
Yeah.
So, and then that's it. If you've got a computer, powerful enough to run VR, then I would say, and there's always a market to resell it as well. People always want VR headsets, especially second-hand ones that haven't been used, if they've been looked after and not been too sweaty, which isn't likely in sim racing. But if you
there's always earwax for me.
Yeah, I'll just rinse it out a little bit. There you go, mate. Yeah, don't smell it. Whatever you do, don't sniff it.
Yeah, definitely some wipes on standby, I think,
definitely.
For that one.
But I would say VR is incredible. If somebody hasn't ever tried virtual reality before and they jump in a rig with VR, they'll be blown away.
Yeah. I did have a go on a VR rig quite recently, and it was Project Cars 2, and it was at Knockhill in a Formula Ford. And actually, it was really good fun. And it was totally different because the monitor was reasonable. I mean, I don't know how well it would work on mine because mine is quite small. But I'm thinking I would love to do it because when you put the goggles on, and it's just like you're there. You're actually there.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing. And for that kind of, to get for the adrenaline rush, and actually I thought this would be fantastic to stream.
And on the likes of Assetto Corsa, when you've got the VR headset on, if you sat in your rig and you recenter the view, if you get out of your rig, you can actually stand outside the car, so you can be like standing on the grid on Assetto Corsa, looking at your car and looking at the other cars. It's incredible. It's like you're actually on the grid at the track. It's mind blowing.
Yeah,
insane.
But I think that is what I need to definitely look at to see if I can do it. Now, I'm quickly looking for a question that Matt has asked. Now, let's see, where are we? It is down here. All right. Here, it says, did any of Dave's hair grow back after the alpaca licking his head?
No, but the alpaca's tongue fell off shortly after. It won't do that again.
No, I was going to say, that's the thing.
Yeah, the alpacas went to the Fellside Alpacas, which is in the middle of nowhere in near Alston, I think it is, up on the hills. We took the family just walking some alpacas, and it was absolutely incredible. But there was one in particular that was really friendly, that liked to kiss. So this alpaca would come up, and they'd expect them to spit, but it didn't. It just give us a nice little kiss, like a little lick on the side of the face. That was my highlight.
You're a brave man. One, because if you don't want it spitting on you, but
exactly. Apparently they don't spit at you; they spit at each other. I think they were saying they spit at each other, and humans just get caught in the crossfire. We don't realize it's going to happen, so we just like sitting ducks in the middle.
That's quite something. Oh, that's the thing. So, what do you think? What's been the craziest experience that you've had on iRacing? What's been the funniest and kind of craziest time you've had?
Blimey. I've done some incredible things. I've been fortunate to. I won the Indy 500. That was probably one of the highlights, and it wasn't the top split. It was, I don't know what split it was, but I love oval racing. I really do, but I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't have a clue what I'm doing or what strategies to implement. But I was streaming on Twitch the Indy 500, and I think the title of the stream was "How Many Laps Will I Last?" or something like that. But thankfully, I had a few people in the chat who knew about IndyCar and about weight jackers and this, that, and the other, and adjusting the pitch of the car when your tires start to wear, so you don't get the understeer and all this kind of stuff. So I was driving around racing, and I ended up making a mistake, and I dropped right to the back, and then slowly got my way forward. And with about 5 laps to go, I ended up with a battle for the win, and got lucky with some lap traffic. But I couldn't have done that without the help from the chat. It was like a real, like, proper team effort. I was driving the car, but without the advice from those guys, I would have crashed because I wouldn't have known what I was doing. The car wouldn't have been set up properly. So yeah, that's one of the highlights of my, time on iRacing. Obviously, being part of the Porsche All Stars series that was on last year that iRacing ran with Porsche, and invited like some people off YouTube and stuff. They call it All Stars. I hate that phrase, the All Stars, just sim races. But because we've got a little bit of a following, you get invited to things like that. But that's really nice to race against other people on YouTube and Twitch streamers that you wouldn't necessarily race with. You know, there's people that, you know, Maxime, that her kind of main focus, Maxime MXM, her main focus is like F1 games. Well, I would never race against Maxime in F1 because that's not kind of what I do. So it's nice to race against other sim racers, other people from YouTube that have got different kind of disciplines or different areas of interest. So that was really good, really nice.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing, what the things that you've had there. Now, we've got a good question from Matt again. He says, who would be a harder iRacing pupil, Hugh or Julie?
Oh, blimey. I can't say Julie because she might be watching. I'll have to say Hugh. Sorry, Hugh.
That's all right.
Sorry, Hugh. I'm gonna, you know, Julie is an absolute breeze to teach. You know, easy. I just have to tell her once, and she knows exactly what I mean. You know what I mean? Now. Yeah. That's it.
We won't see the door slam open.
No, I hope not. I'm going to put my arm out just in case.
You know. And what's the thing? Now, Jerry has asked, who is the toughest sim racer you've ever come across?
Oh, blimey. Toughest, I presume you mean toughest kind of opponent or scrappiest. Oh, dear me. Dan Suzuki. I've raced Dan Suzuki a few times, and Dan and I get on really well. And we've raced against each other lots of times. And Dan's probably one of the people that I would trust most, although he does like his Hollywood moves and overtakes. And, you know, Dan Hollywood Suzuki, I'll call him from now on. He does like his showboat moves, but he's a really good racer, really clean. He'll always give you room. And you always think that the move's done on Dan, and it isn't. You know, he'll always fight back. So Dan's probably one of the most enjoyable people to race against, and one of the scrappiest, I think.
Yeah, I think I've seen his channel, and he looks like he's a pretty serious racer there.
Yeah, he's very quick. So, he's very quick, Dan. Yeah, he's a really quick guy.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Now, one of the comments we got from Surality has said he hoped those llamas were tested for COVID.
Yeah, it's not the COVID I was worried about.
That's quite the thing. Now, Rumar has said, as you have a TL1000, do you like wheelies and danger?
Oh, well, the TL1000 I had, it was the first version, so it was the 1997, full power. It's like a big 1000cc V-twin. So it was like the original. They nicknamed it the Widowmaker because the rake of the front fork was so steep. It used to be prone to tank slappage, the handlebars. So, and it did like to wheelie. You just had to give it a little bit. And so I have done the odd wheelie on a TL1000. Yeah.
I always remember my brother went to Venezuela many years ago for a conference, and he didn't even have a driving license, let alone a motorbike license, and he had a bit of time free, and they said, you should go and explore the island, so you should go and hire a scooter. And so he said, well, I've never driven one. And he said, don't worry, over here they don't really check. They'll ask you if you've driven one, but that'll be about it. So he went into the first scooter shop, the scooter hire, and he said, I know how to drive it, which of course he didn't. And of course they started it up and whatever, and the first time he did a huge wheelie and came straight off the back, and then that was it. And then the second time he managed to kind of almost stay upright, and he came off. But it took him 3 different scooter hire shops before he was able to actually get one that he could drive. He
did his basic training on the first 2, what not to do. Yeah, figured out there by the third one.
Yeah, and that's in our family we're terrible at biking. We're on 2 wheels. We're really bad. 4 wheels we just about get away with. But 2 wheels, my mum and dad went to Cyprus many years ago, and they hired a scooter. And they came up to this hill, and the scooter was not powerful enough to get up the hill. And so my father, by this time he was in his mid-70s, and said to my mother, "I'm afraid you're going to have to get off, dear, so I can get up the hill."
Run up the hill.
You can imagine she was not too chuffed.
No, I bet she wasn't. No.
So that was the thing.
But I would have done the same. I would have rode up the hill as well.
Yeah.
Especially in Cyprus with the heat.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, and it was. It was about April, May time.
Yeah.
So that was the story I got back when I picked him up from Newcastle
Blimey.
Airport. My mother did not forget that one in a hurry.
No, I bet.
But so that was the thing.
I bet.
Because she basically said, "I can drive a scooter too. Why should I have to walk up the hill?" You know. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Because I'm gone.
you know exactly. So
Yeah.
that was it.
Sorry, I can't hear you from up here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what my father did. As soon as he got
Yeah.
off, he was off, and that was
Yeah.
it. That was the main. So where do you see like iRacing and things like that going now in the future? Because obviously you've got a good bit of experience there, and you race an awful lot. Or where would you like it to go?
Oh, crikey. It's a difficult one because it's got to be fun, hasn't it? So I like the idea of jumping into a race where you don't know what the weather conditions are going to be, before you go in. And you've got to think about your tires, but that's not for everybody. That's kind of my ideal scenario is you start off dry, you've no idea, then all of a sudden, oh my word, there's some droplets of rain. Is the track wet or is that just on my windscreen? Oh no, it is a little bit. I better get in for tires. And just where you've got to think about the race and have a little bit of strategy or a thought process of what could happen.
Yeah.
And I think that will happen, to be honest. But as far as where I think it's going to go, it's going to get obviously more competitive. There's going to be bigger prize pools for the professional esports guys, and rightly so, because they treat it like a race team. I was at the expo and I was watching, the races that they had on there. There was Williams Esports, there was the Virtual Racing School. There's all these big teams, and it looked like, when you see the pit wall on the Formula One, where they've got all the monitors and with all the data, the telemetry, it was like that. So you had your guy in the sim rig, and then you had a full team of probably 5 or 6 guys, all with the telemetry, kind of looking at what's going on in the race. It was mind blowing. So there's got to be bigger prize pools, because it's costing those guys a fortune, I would guess, to run these, these events and stuff like that. I'd like to see there be a bit more competition with other simulators and kind of everybody kind of get on par with each other somehow, because some do some things really well, like iRacing does the stats and the matchmaking, rFactor 2 with the handling and the physics and tire model. I'd like there to be the perfect simulator where we can combine all of the good things from them all and have one ideal, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, here's a question that is kind of somewhat related to that from Matt. Again, said, if Dave ran iRacing for one day, what single change would you make?
Slow down penalties. That's what I would make. There's a system on Race Room where if you get a slowdown, so if you cut a corner, say for example, you get a 2-second slowdown. If you release the brake, it'll start that slowdown to come down, and then if you accelerate, it'll stop it. So you can see exactly how much time. So then, I've now got 1.5 seconds that I need to lose. So the next corner, you can maybe lose 2 or 3 tenths, and you can regulate that and you can manage that. On iRacing, you get a slowdown, and if you don't get it off, and if you go around a corner, it goes up. So you can get a 3-second slowdown, and you get, I think, like 30 seconds to clear it. But that 3-second slowdown can last for like 8 seconds if you don't clear it straight away. So I think it's not realistic at all. In a real race, you would just get a time penalty if you kept on doing that kind of thing. So your 3-second time penalty wouldn't increase, because you went around a couple of corners. I would definitely sort out the slowdowns, definitely.
Yeah, because that's really hard. It's really annoying as well. It
is, and everybody complains about it. Everybody gets really frustrated about it. And it ruins a good race. It definitely ruins. There's so many races where I've been in, and I've been in a really good battle with somebody, and then you get a slowdown, you lose the draft, and that's it. Whereas if you could regulate the time that you were to give back or manage it a little bit better, then I think that people would have more chance of kind of racing for longer.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, here's a good question from Mark Goldman. He says, "Hi, Dave. Do you prefer GT3 over other classes?" And he now says, "P.S. I'm B licensed now." So he's coming after you.
Yeah, you're there now. GT3, I think it's one of the more populated series. So there's always like numerous splits. So I do like racing GT3s. I don't mind a bit of, banging doors with people, and I think you can do that with GT3s. Open wheelers, I do like them, but my reactions just aren't quick enough for like, those high downforce cars. And I like cars that move a little bit and slide and, where you've got to kind of control them on the throttle. They're the type of cars that I like. So probably GT3 fits in that category because they do move around a little bit. The slide, you can catch it, you can keep on going. So yeah, probably.
Yeah. I have to admit, I do like because I'm only very early on iRacing. There's only so many cars I've been able to use. I just bought the Ferrari GT3 car for the championship. You can do with that.
Yes.
So I'm hoping to try and do more of them. But I do like Formula V. But I'd love to do the saloon cars and maybe like more kind of touring car stuff. I think that would be
they're really difficult to drive though. With the high-powered front-wheel drive cars, they're really difficult.
Quite twitchy, aren't they?
Just want to understeer, and and it's all about kind of turning in and getting the back sliding, going in, and then counter steering and accelerating to stop it sliding. It's weird, really difficult to drive those fast. Those guys that do, I've taken my hat off to them. Really quick.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Now we've got a great comment from Rob W488. It says, "Driving a Dacia Duster equals more money to spend on your sim racing."
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a good bit of prudent talk there.
All about compromise, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
They're so good I bought two, and that was the thing. But the petrol price is going up. I thought that's the best way.
Yes, definitely.
That's the thing. Now, what would you like to say about your community? Because we've got many of them watching here. And just to quickly say to the community, if you're not already subscribed to Dave's channel, the link is in the description there. So there's no excuse for you not subscribing to his channel and getting excellent content there from Dave, as he does always iRacing and more. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to our channel too, that would be fantastic. We've got a great catalogue of superstars of the sim racing world, large and small. We've got them on our channel. But what would you like to say about your 450,000 subs now? That's a fantastic achievement.
It is. It's incredible. I don't say thank you to them as often as I should do, really. And they probably don't know how much. Excuse me. They probably don't know how much I appreciate them, to be honest, because at the moment I'm not working. For 15 years I was a police officer, and I had to hide that from. Not hide it, but I didn't talk about it to my community. And many times people used to say, "What do you do for your job, Dave? What do you do for your job, Dave?" I used to kind of skirt around it and say, "I'm a civil servant, a civil servant."
Yeah.
But now, I've had a change, and I stopped doing that in July this year. I resigned. 20 years of shift work. It's a long time, and weekend work and shift work. So I'm going to have a little bit of time off and then see what we're going to do in the new year. So I want to apologize and say thank you to those guys for sticking with us. I don't like misleading people or not being open and honest, which is what I am really. I want to try and it's the only way you can be, really, because if you're not open, honest, and transparent, you get found out. And if you try and keep up this act, then people either find you out, or you've got to keep that act up forever, and you drive yourself insane. So you've got to be yourself. So I want to say thank you to those guys. And they've all been absolutely tremendous. My community, I never have to dish out any bans or timeouts in chats, or everybody gets on. It's a mature, really everybody respects each other for the majority. So yeah, I really do. I appreciate them more than they know. That's for certain.
Yeah. And do you ever get to race some of them as well? Do you do like open lobby nights or things like that, or will you all go and join the same type of race so you can go and race each other?
I do. Usually in week 13, I try and host some races, but the trouble is I try and host them where you can have the biggest grid you can. And on iRacing, I think it's 62 on some tracks. So it's like a first come, first served type thing. And I always feel bad that people can't get in. So I normally host 3 races, and I give the password out for the next race when the first one's starting. So the people racing can't type the password in and log in to try and get people through. But yeah, it's really nice to race against people that I've never raced with before. And on one of those, I always try and have a win at all costs race where I turn the damage off, and you've just got to win at all costs. You turn somebody, crash into somebody, take them out, whatever you need to do. If the leader's coming by, put up a roadblock, stop them getting through, and that's always really good fun. It's hilarious. You get people driving backwards. It's a week 13 hosted, bit of fun. Get out of your system. Let's just go crazy at one of the smaller tracks like Tsukuba or one of those tracks, Lime Rock Park. It's great fun.
Yeah, well, that does sound good. I'm hoping to eventually get a server on ACC, and I'm hoping to maybe do like GT4 at Brands Hatch, because I love those kind of slightly slower cars.
Yes,
but Brands Hatch is great, and I was driving the Aston Martin. Was it the V8, the GT4 car? A few weeks ago on Thea's stream, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, GT4s are great on ACC, and people don't really drive them that often. They're not as popular as they should be, but the GT4 cars on ACC are really good.
Yeah,
really good.
We've got at the moment a console race on PS4 at GT Sport. We're doing the HHTCR race, but I know you're not really a console man so much now. I was going to say you could join us for a celebrity entry.
I would have, but I don't even have a console now. I've thought about getting a PlayStation to get into GT Sport, but I just haven't got round to getting one.
That's all right. But we'll certainly, my next plan is to do it on ACC. Yeah. So if we do a kind of race night, we'll invite you along. And if you feel you'd like to do it, it'd be fantastic to have you along and to have a go, because I think these kind of closed circuits on ACC and things like that are always quite fun. And that's kind of the thing. That in fact, that was the next question that somebody just asked to say, do you play Gran Turismo Sport? Not at the moment. Seems to be.
I played the original Gran Turismo on the PlayStation back in the day, but and Ridge Racer I think I played as well back in the day. Was it Ridge Racer? I think. Anyway, but I have played Gran Turismo, but not none of the recent ones, and they look incredible now. When you look at them now, the graphics look insane. It looks superb.
Aye. And in terms of things like YouTube, who is your kind of some of your favourite YouTubers and kind of sim racers that you follow?
Matt Malone was one of the first people that I used to watch, because as you do when you start a new hobby, you always look on YouTube. Or when I was into motorcycles, it was always, if you looked at my history on YouTube, it would all be motocross and supermoto. Now it's just sim racing. So Matt Malone, I watched a lot of Matt. I don't get to watch many people now much because I'm busy doing it. So I don't get to watch as much YouTube as I do, but I catch up with the likes of Rory Alexander. I'll watch some of his races. Sim Gamer Nerd on Twitch, I watch him quite a bit. Anybody really. There's loads of people that I subscribe to. So I just watch whoever pops up with a new video.
Yeah. And what was the thing that made you decide to actually stream? Because there's one thing taking part in sim racing, but to actually decide to stream it out there. Was it building a community, or was it just because you really enjoyed it?
Well, I had a YouTube channel that I put some like old motorcycle videos on, and there was no subscribers or anything. It was just like videos, and I don't even think they were public. I don't think. Yeah. But then me and my son, who's 15 now, he wanted to start YouTube. His friends were doing it at school. Yeah, and I says, all right, son, we'll start one together, a bit of a father-son type thing. You start one, I'll start one. You can do your, I can't even remember what he's playing now. Was it Rainbow Six or something like that? And I recorded a few iRacing races. And then before I know it, I started getting a few subscribers. And James's channel, it didn't get any. So I was like, sorry, son. I felt really bad. But then, again, I mentioned to you earlier on, I remember hitting 100 subscribers. Like, wow, there's 100 people watch this dross. What they're doing? And then it snowballed from there, really. And, so I never, ever got into it thinking I want to create content, and still don't really. I just do what I just race, and people kind of seem to like, the races that I put out. So I don't do it to get subscribers, and never have done, so it's just happened. And then obviously with COVID, it went a bit crazy. I was looking the other day at, I think I had 20,000 subscribers. I hit 20,000 subscribers in April 2020. And in March of 2021, I hit 43. So in 11 months, I'd gained 23,000 subscribers in COVID. That's insane, absolutely insane. It was a bit of a whirlwind back then, because I was working at the time as well, and there was that pressure. Although I shouldn't have really felt the pressure, I wasn't too fussed really. But when you've got all these people subscribed, you think, God, it gets a little bit too much sometimes. It did with working as well. So it was like having 2 full-time jobs, really.
Yeah. Well, you do a fantastic job, and I have to say, I do wish you all the best for the continual success of your channel. And it's so good, and I enjoyed watching this iRacing video alone, telling me to start at the back, let everybody go and do their thing, and then try and go. Well, unfortunately, I ignored all that good advice.
Of course,
I qualified.
You do,
I qualified fifth in the race. I thought, well, that's quite good. I'm near the front. And I still got taken out. So that was the end of it.
It's difficult at the beginning. It really is. It's difficult.
Yeah, but it's kind of addictive. I have to say, I'm really into that.
It's like with the iRating, I've said to people before, it's like gambling. As if iRating's a currency. You have a bad race, you lose like a 50 iRating. You think, oh, I'll just do one more. I'll do one more. I'll get that 50 back. And then you're down 100. Oh no, I need to do one more. It's like gambling. You can just imagine how gamblers are. If they put 50 quid on a horse and they lose it, I'll just put another 50 on. I'll get that back. It's just the same kind of mentality. It's bizarre.
That's the thing. It's
crazy.
It's funny, and you got to kind of come back with a different approach, isn't it?
You do,
learn and see how it all works and
that generally doesn't work either. It's a lottery, isn't it? Whether you get a clean race.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's what you really kind of hope for. I have to say, my best races have been in the Mazda. I've had the best kind of run with them. They seem to be. I think they're just quite manoeuvrable, and you seem to be able to get out of trouble a bit easier. I think Formula V is so tricky because if you break the wrong point, you just turn around and that's you.
Definitely.
But I do enjoy that one, and I've done a little bit of Skip Barber. Not an awful lot of success there, and a wee bit more in GT3 which was funny because Dave Perel was streaming the other night at GT3 at Nürburgring, and I said, I'm obviously not in his lobby, but I was trying it for the first time, and he was like doing probably 37s or some crazy time, and I only had like 2 laps before the lobby started, and I did like a 143 barely. I could get around the track, but then I got down to 141, and I thought, well, that's a wee bit better. So I was getting there, but it was such a good race, and it was great fun, So that's the thing. It's truly
it's difficult. It's easy. It's too easy to compare yourself against the likes of David Perel, who's obviously a super quick sim racer, but is a real life Ferrari race driver. So you see these guys and think, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. Well, we can't, because they're real racing drivers for a reason. They've got something that I don't have. They're just the next level. I've raced against Lando Norris, ridiculously quick, ridiculously quick. And I don't think I'm too bad. I get round all right, but he's like so quick. These pro esports drivers, they overtake you and leave you like you're not even there. It's crazy the amount of skill that they have that I just don't have. You've either got it or you haven't. And they're just blessed with that skill.
It's incredible, actually. They're very fit as well, aren't they? So the reaction is going to be absolutely there. That now we've got somebody called Not WDP saying hello, and also Ped Gives Up has been making comments as well, and he made a very good comment saying, once I stopped caring about iRating, I started gaining iRating.
Yes. And I've said this to quite a few people. Don't worry, it's just a number. As long as you're placed in a race with people of a similar skill level, that's all we want. And I was talking to 2 guys from iRacing, Kevin Bobbitt and Greg West at the Sim Racing Expo. I was talking to those guys, and they asked me the question, right, Dave, how would you feel if you couldn't see your iRating? So there's obviously discussions happening at iRacing, thinking, is that a way we want to go down? Do we want to kind of or get rid of the iRacing? No, it's still there, but we can't see it. So if we couldn't see it, we wouldn't worry about it. We just race. Whoever you race against, you race. So if you couldn't see it, I don't think it's a bad thing. So it made me, because they asked me the question, and they both kind of looked at me for an answer as if I was going to give them something. So it's definitely something that they've been discussing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. If you don't know your figures, you would just race at the end of it and hope that if you did well enough, you would start to proceed in events to get the higher licenses and things like that. Yeah, it's definitely it's quite a thing. It's funny how people get into it so much that it becomes this kind of heartfelt experience. And it can make your day or you can break it. I know
definitely.
the race I did on ACC on Sunday, the last of the Wavy World Tour, and we came second last. I was totally down in the dumps after that one. I was just like, because we all had spins and issues and problems with the car and stuff. But I was so hoping for a lot more, even just to get mid-pack. Would have been something. But it can affect you. So you're just
the emotions are real. The emotions are real in sim racing. They are, and I've spoke to a couple of drivers, real racing drivers, and they've said it's the same. You know, the highs are high and the lows are low. You know, it's the same kind of emotions you go through when they're racing. The same adrenaline. It's incredible, especially now. It's so realistic now, and you know the way the tracks are and the cars and the detail. It's just. I'm saying it's so realistic. I've never driven a real race car, but for me, as a normal bloke that drives a normal road car, these things seem like race cars to me. You know, so it makes me feel for that moment. You get lost in that moment, and you're a race driver for that 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the fun. I think for me, that's what, because when I was a youngster, I thought, I'd love to be a racing driver, but I knew very quickly I didn't have the work ethic or the fitness or the attention to detail to be able to carry that out. But what sim racing has done now is given me a chance to enjoy racing cars I could never race before. But I still like the idea of doing track days. And I thought, well, what I've been able to learn from here, I can go and do on a track day. And because I got this, and I won a few fleet driving day competitions when I was doing the fleet stuff. So it meant I got a trip to like Mercedes World. And this was last year, this was just before COVID. And I got a run in the Mercedes C43 AMG Saloon at Brooklands. It's a great, but if you want to go, it's a fantastic day. I thoroughly recommend it. And you got to go around the little track, and then they tried to make me drift the thing, which was hopeless. I couldn't drift it, but I could go around the track. And the car was actually easier to drive than it was in the game. It turned easier, and it all seemed to work. And the guy said, "Oh, do you play a lot of racing games and things like that?" Because I said, "Well, I do a lot of YouTube and stuff, and I've got a rig at home." And I couldn't believe how much difference it made. Actually driving the real car. But so that's my hope. And I think it just gives you that little bit extra, gets your motor racing pulse going again when you start doing it. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to drive a car on track in real life, and see if any of it does translate to. The real world, what you learn in the sim, and I'd be interested to see. The fear factor would probably slow me down more than anything, because it's real, isn't it? You can hurt yourself. So I think that's probably, the mortality side of things would slow me down. Thing.
Yeah, because it's like, I think though, because you're fast on these games and you kind of know what to do, you'd probably find that you can handle the car really well. You're transforming that to real life. But as you say, I think it's different if it's an open seater, because then it feels a bit more like, oh, I could come out of this, or it could be a big accident. But if you're surrounded by safety cell and big roll bars, roll cage, it's maybe not quite as tricky. But no, it's. I'm sure you'd be phenomenal. I'm sure you'd be very fast.
I'd love to go one day. I'd love to go just to try and just see what it's all about. Really, I was at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago, and I sat in I was invited down to have a look around a garage, Redline Racing. They had a Porsche GT3, the older one. They invited me down for a look around the garage. So I went down and I got in the Porsche GT3. I could hardly get in it. If that set on fire, I'd be a goner. I would never get out. Actually the space to get in and out with the roll cage was so small. It was, like, I don't know, it was probably just me being unfit and a little bit stiff. but it's like when I was in it, it looks exactly the same as it did on iRacing, the dash and everything. Everything was just like super, super familiar. But getting in and out of it, man, it was tough.
Well, that reminds me, and it's not too far away from you. There's a place called SimTrack, and we've had Adam, one of the guys who actually owns it and runs it on the show here before. It's down near Leeds, and he has a real Ginetta G33 Cup car that he's made into a simulator. And he has James Kellett, who's a real racing driver in the Ginetta Cup. And he actually beat Lando Norris when he was his teammate racing. But you can go down there and he can teach you. He puts James Kellett in the car with you, and you have to climb in. I struggled. I thought, now I got in, I'll never get out because it's seriously roll caging, as you say, and big seats and the whole thing. And you sweat because it's so warm in the car. but it's a phenomenal session, and they do it for real racing drivers and for people wanting to improve their sim racing.
Right, wow.
But it's called SimTrack, and it's at Leeds.
I'll have a look at that. Right,
it's phenomenal. The guys are really, really nice, fantastic folk. But you get one-to-one tuition from real racing drivers alongside you having a go. And honestly, it's one of the best. I learned more than 15 minutes doing that than I did probably doing all the practice I'd done for years before. They're top guys.
SimTrack, I'll have a look at those.
It's
not too far away either.
Yeah, it's only a couple of hours from where I am, so it won't be too far from you. But no, it's really good. I think it's amazing how it's got a massive screen outside, and the car's perfectly set up. I think they've also got an Aston Martin Cup car as well in there as well. So you get that whole experience of being in a real car, and with the whole big screen and all that stuff. And then they analyze your driving as well. So it's you can get all you can learn a huge amount. A lot of the guys that are in the Ginetta Cup, they go there and then they do really well on the sim, and then they end up winning races in the series after that because they can transfer it straight to that.
I was talking to I went to Silverstone, like I mentioned. It was the Virtual Reality Racing Club, and he has like 3 big simulators in the back of a truck, and he regularly works with real racing drivers to save on testing. Test the cost to test a car at a circuit. They'll go to him because he's got like motion rigs and he'll put them in a car, whichever one that they're racing, and then it's so similar now to the real world cars and tracks that they can just save a shed load of money by going and sitting in a simulator for a day.
No, it's incredible what you can learn. And just the experience as well is just amazing. But no, that's the thing. But I realise that we've been going over an hour and 10 minutes, and you'll probably want to get to your bed to have a quieter night. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
It's Dave, my pleasure. It really has. Thank you.
I normally say for the kind of last 3 things, if there's anything you would like to say to your community, here's your chance now to speak to them as they're probably watching.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Give Hugh a follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Every week he puts these shows on. Great to watch. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. There'll be some more content coming from me soon. Promise. Yeah. Make sure you watch Dave's incredible channel. I have to say, so relaxed. That chill out session you had was fantastic when you were just answering questions and doing all that thing. I enjoy those. Nice just to sit and chill and catch up. And because when you're racing, you miss things in chat, and I hate that. I hate the thought of me missing somebody asking me something or saying something. It's like I feel ignorant, and I don't do it intentionally. So those chill out chats are just nice to catch up, and I can take my time and read through them all and have a good catch up.
Yeah. Well, next week we've got Jerome, all the way from Canada, from Montreal, and he is he's formed the E-Seniors racing team. So he's got a big group on Facebook, and he does all over 50s racers, and he's really, really good. He contacted me on my website and said, I love the podcast. And so we've arranged to have him on the show next week. So that'll be really good. Looking forward to that. And it should be fun. But it's been a phenomenal pleasure, Dave, to have you on the show tonight, and also with the people on the chat watching as well. It's been great to have you. I know many of you have come over from Dave's channel tonight to ask questions, and they've been really, really, really good. So stay on the line just now, Dave. But do you know our famous phrase for our show?
I do indeed.
Would you like to say it for us?
Drive fast and try not to crash.
Exactly. Excellent. Take care, everyone, and we will see you very soon. Bye just now.